friends, my name is Emily from Pointer's Place, and today I'm finally sharing the birth story from our first son, Dominic. And he was born on July 28th of this year, and so the day before he was born was July 27th, obviously, and I was going to a regular OB appointment. I was 39 weeks and 3 days, well, 2 days, and my regular OB was actually out on vacation, so I was seeing somebody else in the practice that day. And so I went in, and the whole morning I had been having some pretty painful contractions, and so I was just kind of waiting for my appointment because I had been working that whole day, and I didn't want to stop working and say oh, hey, I'm in the middle of labor, because if I didn't have the baby, then what was I gonna do? I just didn't want to cause a big uproar. So I waited for my appointment and went in, and I was just hoping that they were just gonna admit me or just send me to labor and delivery. I was so done with being pregnant. But of course I got there, and I was only at 2.5, almost 3 centimeters. So obviously they weren't gonna admit me then, and they were saying, hey, could be weeks, could be days, could be hours, we really don't know. And so I left that appointment. Well, Bryce was with me at that appointment, but we left that appointment just feeling really discouraged, because it was oh gosh darn it, we just wanted to get this baby out. So anyways, we went home, and on our way home we stopped and got mod pizza, and so we came home, ate that, and then Bryce went down to our garage gym to do a workout. And pretty soon after that I said, hey, my contractions are, I'm at 511, and so I think it's time that we go into the hospital. The app, I had that contraction counter app thing, and it had been telling me that, yep, it was time to start thinking about going, time to start going. And so we decided to go in at around 7. And so that was about a 35 minute drive. It kind of depends on traffic. And so we went in there, and labor and delivery, the triage area, monitored me for an hour, and I made no progress. And so they sent us home. And so we were just really frustrated, just really wanting this baby to come. And so on the way home, it was kind of like a switch flipped. All of a sudden my contractions were much more painful, and I was having to focus a little bit more to get through them. And so anyways, we got back home, and we took a shower, got ready for bed, and we were kind of going through our routine, and it was these contractions were getting really, really painful, and I started to have tears in my eyes in dealing with them. And so I was no, Bryce, we're not going back in. Let's just wait and see if this is actually for real. And so finally at 11 p.m. he was that is it, you are in pain, let's just go in and get you checked out. This is ridiculous, we're not waiting this out any longer. And so at 11 p.m. we drove back to labor and delivery, and when we got there I realized that I had completely forgotten to bring my wallet with me. So thank goodness we had been there earlier in the day, because they still had my ID, the picture of my ID on file from earlier in the day. And if they wouldn't have had that, I don't know what we would have done or what would have happened. But definitely an oversight on our part, not grabbing my wallet on the way out. But anyway, so we got there, they checked us in, and I was at 5 centimeters. And I remember I just felt so relieved, I could have cried. I was just so thankful that my body had finally made enough progress where, yes, they were keeping me And at this point, my contractions were really, really painful. I was really having to focus to get through them. And I was shaking a lot, which is a labor sign. Hold on here, we gotta pause. My son is upset over here. All right, sorry about that. I am back, obviously, with a little friend. He was having a hard time sleeping. So, anyways, so they were finally gonna admit me, and the thing about these contractions is that they were lasting 2 minutes each. They were really, really long and really hard. And like I mentioned before, I was just shaking nonstop, and so I would have a contraction and I would like squeeze Bryce's hand, and then the contraction would stop and I'd just be shaking so bad that I'd just have him like put his hand on me and just kind of put pressure on me. And so anyways, when they told me that they were going to admit me, I was obviously relieved, but the first thing I said was, when can I get the epidural? Because my body was so exhausted. I had been contracting since 7 a.m. that morning, and so I was just feeling exhausted.
Are you sad? Or are you dreaming?
Anyways, so like I said, I had been contracting since 7 a.m. that morning, so my body was just absolutely exhausted, and I was definitely ready for some relief. So obviously she was like, well, no, we can't like give you an epidural while you're still here in triage, but when we get you up to your delivery room, then we can get you hooked up. I was like, okay, great. Can we like have the anesthesiologist meet me there? And so I was really impressed with how fast the anesthesiologist was able to get there and meet me and get me all hooked up. And so once I had the epidural and was feeling a little bit better, they were thinking about starting Pitocin, but they couldn't because my contractions were so long. They were like 3 or 4 minutes long, and Dominic was starting to show some signs of distress, so they kind of wanted to wait, and I was more than okay with just letting my body kind of do its thing because I wanted a nap, honestly. I was pretty exhausted from contracting all day long. So then in the morning on July 28th, I wasn't feeling super good, just could not keep anything down. The nurse brought me a popsicle, and even that I just couldn't keep down the water, the ice chips, or anything. So I was just becoming more and more ready to just get the baby out. And so I continued to labor all day. I was still shaking, still pretty tired, and finally I got to 10 centimeters, and at that point the epidural wore off where I could feel all of the contractions again. And so they started me on a new drug, and I don't know which one it was or what it was called, but I started to not be able to feel things again, which was the goal. And then I started pushing between 4:30 and 5 o'clock, and I was able to reach down and feel his head. And so then he was born at 6:19, so I only pushed for a little over an hour. And I was the one that cut his umbilical cord, and then Bryce was up by my head, being supportive up there. So after that, he laid on me, and Bryce ordered dinner, and then we were moved to recovery, where we stayed for the rest of the night, and then the next day. Before we could be discharged, we had to have a visit from lactation, and apparently it was a really busy night at the hospital because there were like 3 sets of twins born, and they were having a hard time finding a bassinet for Dominic to be in while he was there. So when lactation came to visit, she was just kind of distracted and wasn't really super helpful, didn't take the time to really look at the issues that were going on. And so I'm actually gonna touch a little bit more on this in an upcoming video regarding lactation and my journey with breastfeeding. And so anyways, we had a visit from her, and then we had his hearing test, his PKU test, and Bryce got us Red Robin, and then at around 4 o'clock we were discharged to go home. Sorry, I kept getting interrupted as I was trying to finish up the video, but basically I was really thankful that overall the birth was really uncomplicated and everything afterwards went well. After Dominic passed his PKU test and hearing test and had movements and all that good stuff, we were allowed to go home, and I took ibuprofen for a couple of days, but after that I really didn't feel like I needed anything as far as pain management, which I'm really thankful for. And obviously, most importantly, we have a happy, healthy baby here with us. So hopefully this video was helpful to you and either kind of calmed your nerves or was just interesting to you. I know I loved watching birth stories as I was getting ready to have Dominic, and I'm sure I'll look forward to looking back on this as we have more little ones in the future.